Welcome to Live Vedanta, a podcast about simple living and high thinking. Before we continue our mini-series, I'm so excited to share a little bit more about our upcoming virtual homes with Chinmaya Mission Niagara. On August 29th, September 7th, and September 16th, we're opening the virtual doors to our vibrant community. Whether you're new and curious about spirituality, or you're a seasoned seeker eager to deepen your self-development journey, these open home sessions are the perfect way to explore what makes this community so special. So at these open homes, we'll be introducing the exciting lineup of our 2024 and 2025 courses, which are carefully designed to meet the needs of our diverse community. Maybe you're interested in engaging in thoughtful discussions with like-minded people. Or maybe you're curious about how to apply spiritual principles in your daily life. No matter what, there is a course for you. And the best part, you'll get a virtual tour of our offerings and our website, which makes it so much more easier to find what exactly resonates. During these open homes, you'll meet some of the inspiring guides who teach our courses, who will share their wisdom, answer your questions, and help you navigate your spiritual journey with clarity and confidence. So I hope you can mark your calendars and join us for these open home dates. It's about an hour. It will be full of fun, learning, and connection. And you can visit the link in our show notes for more details on how to register for the session. Or you can just go directly to our website, chinmayaniagara.com. These open homes are free and open to everyone, so feel free to grab a friend or a family member who might also benefit from this. And that brings us to this week's episode. We're amidst a series on those deep and meaningful transitions in our life that have transformed us. And sometimes those moments are really big. Sometimes they're really small. Sometimes these transitions are not by choice, but sometimes they are. One of those kind of transitions is going to college. For some folks, college is the first time they're living away from home. It's a time of navigating friendships, but also balancing a whole host of responsibilities as a student, or getting involved with extracurriculars that also demand a lot of care and attention. And that's why I sat down with Juhi, one of her community members from Chinmaya Mission Cleveland, who's just starting her sophomore year at Ohio State University. Hi, Juhi. Hello.
Hello, Nina.
It's so good to be with you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where do you go to school? What year are you in?
I'm entering my second year at Ohio State.
I'll forgive you. I went to University of Michigan, but that's okay. We can still be friends.
I appreciate that.
What kind of things are you studying at OSU right now? What's been interesting for you so far?
I'm majoring in neuroscience, so I've had a lot of classes that dive into the brain, the nervous system, and a lot of psychology as well. And it's really interesting to see the overlap between what I learn in classes and how to apply that in just everyday life, but also in Vedanta as well.
This intersection of Vedanta and neuroscience really came to life for her over the past summer when a Swamiji visited her local center and shared the deeper meaning of the Gayatri mantra, and in many ways how scientifically accurate the mantra was. Just by exposing oneself to the sun, any illnesses or problems that one might have might be burned away. And yes, that's metaphoric in some sense, but it's literal in so many others, said Juhi. She pointed out that in one of her neuroscience classes, she learned that just the exposure to the sun in the morning and in the evening, even for 5 minutes, could be enough to completely reset the body's 24-hour clock, the body's circadian rhythm. And through this lens, she began to reflect on how easily influenced our systems are and the many ways that Vedanta offers some insight for living in tune with what's happening naturally, what can be analyzed scientifically.
I'm hearing that you have really deep relationship with Vedanta. When would you say that your journey as a seeker started?
So around middle school, my family and I started attending Balvihar in the Chinmaya Cleveland Center.
Hmm.
And we didn't have a center back then. We were just hopping around from location to location, whether that be a community college, a local school. Yeah. And I think through there, just seeing how involved my parents were and developing this community where I had fellow seekers and people that were like minded and wanted to grow in the same way that I did and had sort of the same questions that I did. That's how I became a lot more involved with religion, Vedanta, spirituality. But I think that it was more reinforced when I entered college, just because you're in an entirely new community, you're in an entirely new environment, and it can be so easy to feel isolated or have a difficult time adjusting to the academic rigor, balancing your multiple responsibilities, and even just the challenge of making new friends. But having a community that I could rely on, such as maybe Seeking Culture, for example, I was so lucky to be exposed to that and to know about it, so I could start my college journey with a community already built in, with a support system that I didn't have to make from scratch, that was already just handed to me on a platter, which I felt really lucky to have. Um, I think it took a lot of the pressure out of it because I knew that no matter what, I had people that were going to support me, people that had gone through what I was going through, and a guide that really cared about each of us individually enough to tailor an entire weekly space for us, for the challenges that we overcome, for even successes that we achieve, for obstacles that we all face, but no one really finds the time to talk about, or they might even be considered taboo to discuss. I felt like it was a great space to just have on a weekly basis and connect with people that I never would have met outside of Seeking Culture or Chinmaya in general. And another aspect was, I think, the summer before college, I had the opportunity to attend some chick retreats, and through there I was able to meet people and not just talk about spirituality or what religious text they're delving into, but just who they are as a person and just connect with people on an individual basis that not everyone has access to. And I think one example I can think of was the glass painting workshop that
Oh
Dwija
yeah,
hosted. Yeah.
I was at
The
workshop too. I remember that.
Yeah, yeah. The first piece of room decor that I put up in my room was the glass painting that I had because it meant so much to me, and it was just a good way to carry Vedanta into this new chapter in my life. And then right next to it was a photo frame of my parents, and then next to that, just an idol of Devi Saraswati to remind me
Mm.
of um, the core elements of my life that really anchor me down in times that might not be easy to deal with or I've never dealt with before.
Mm. So let's just rewind to right before the school year started last year. As you were moving in, like, do you remember how you felt? What were you nervous about? What were you excited about?
Being dropped off was probably one of the hardest days of my life, move-in day, because, well, first of all, it was completely gloomy, and that didn't bring that did not help. But we also just drove through campus as one my dorm was one of the last ones on like the fringes of campus. And I remember seeing people cross the street with such ease. And that was something that I never had really done in my rural town. It seems like such a small feat, but just seeing someone do that while there's oncoming traffic, while cars are honking, being I don't know, it was just so overwhelming to know that as soon as my parents left, I was going to be doing that for the next year, minimal, right? And if I survive. And I never thought that something as small as crossing the street would seem so daunting to me. But knowing that I would have to do that by myself, that I wouldn't have my parents, my older brother, or even just friends because it was an entirely new and unfamiliar environment was challenging. And it felt scary to just have to navigate these new experiences by myself. Even though I know I can cross the street, just feeling that this is my first time that I'm truly alone doing something, especially as a younger sibling where everything I've been through has already been covered, right? But truly being alone, not having someone to guide me through something, I think that was the first time that it really hit me that I was in college because that was the first experience that I had, especially because it's a really busy street. There were a lot of people, there were a lot of cops, and I felt like it wasn't my home yet. And I think
Yeah.
that was the scariest part was feeling like I'm in a place that I don't know if I can make this my home. I don't know if I'm in the right environment. I don't know if I'm with the right people. I was I felt a little bit of regret, but I knew that the time was going to tick regardless of where I was, and
Mhm.
I knew there was nothing I could do about it but make the best of it. And then the next couple days I was able to cross the street with ease, but just that first the first walk, oh man, that was something.
As you notice that sort of newness of being on campus kind of wear off, what did you notice about yourself? What was the experience like?
I think all throughout my life before that, I always had a very cookie cutter schedule where everything I did was already lined up and there wasn't much wiggle room. It was all things that I had to do or classes that I had with friends already. And entering a huge lecture hall with people that are like you, but that you don't know, that
Mhm.
you have nothing in common with besides the class is really daunting because while you might have the comfort in knowing that you have the same lecture with them, your schedules are completely different. And that's never been the case before that, right? And it felt, it was just a surreal experience to be in the same place as other people that are just like you, going through the exact same thing, but knowing that you're not going through the exact same thing, right? It was hard to grasp, and I think I thought about that a lot, but it was hard to think about the fact that you and everybody you know is moving on with life, and we're all experiencing new, I don't know how to word it, but we're all just going through something new but separately for the first time, and
Yeah,
it's difficult to sit with for some time.
that's real. Yeah, I'm hearing what you're saying, the experience of college itself being new for so many people. So that's like one thing that's intersecting all of your experiences. And yet, because of who's around you, who you're going to classes with, maybe where you came from, the values that you have, or the things that you care about, the individual transition is really different, really unique for each person. What did you do to stay centered amongst all of that newness?
So, as I mentioned, I was pretty involved in the Cleveland Chinmaya Center,
Mm,
and Ohio State is not in Cleveland, it's in Columbus. And I really miss that family. It really was a family. It wasn't just a community, it wasn't just even just a sense of satsang, but it was a family, and I miss those people. And then one of the teachers from the Cleveland Center told me about the Columbus Center of Chinmaya Mission and Balvihar. And I found myself really missing that regular Sunday schedule where you went to Balvihar, you went through the classes, whether that's, I don't know, the language classes, the yoga, and then the regular religious conversations that we would have about topics within Vedanta that really applied to us specifically and was tailored towards our demographic. And I just missed feeling that inclusion, and so I reached out to a couple people, and I was able to kind of become an assistant teacher for the Columbus Balvihar Center. And that was such a full circle moment because I know how much I gained through Chinmaya Mission and how the love that I had for it. And I felt really grateful to be able to even just give back 1% of that and sort of develop a new family, which was amazing because I think that's the beauty of the mission is that no matter what center you go to, whether it's Chinmaya Gayatri, Somnath, Archana, I always felt a sense of belonging. I never felt that I didn't fit in here or that I didn't want to be at Balvihar or Chinmaya Mission. I was instantly welcomed with open arms. I celebrated Holi with them, my first Holi on campus, and I think there were just so many beautiful moments from that experience. And something that we were talking about in Seeking Culture as well was there were other individuals that also taught at Balvihar, and we were talking about how even though we're the ones that are supposed to be educating, we are the ones
mhm.
that learn the most and get the most out of it. It's just like when you watch a movie for the second or third or fourth time and you notice a scene that you completely missed
Yeah.
before, and you learn a whole new life lesson just based off of that. And that's something that helped also ease my homesickness because while it was a new family, it was still that old sense of being where I should be and feeling like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Because with college, you're always going to feel a sense of FOMO, especially on the weekends when your friends are gathering, having fun, and you feel like, is this really what I want to be doing on a Sunday morning? But I never felt like that. And I always felt like the importance of community and the understanding that they gave me was so much more than spending time with friends that I can always do.
What age were you teaching, by the way?
The high schoolers.
What? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot um of preparing, but I think it went pretty well.
I guess when you're like looking back at this first year of college and so much just has happened, both in terms of settling on campus and like finding a community off campus that has really supported you. What do you wish you could tell yourself as you were navigating that period of life?
That's hard. I think going into college you don't really know what to expect because it is entirely new and you can't really prepare for it. I think you just have to experience the newness. I think you just have to settle in. I guess what I would tell myself is to not be afraid to make mistakes and make create new memories and experiences, but to sort of be careful. I don't know how to describe it. Um, because I did make mistakes, and I wouldn't tell myself to not do that again because that's how I learned. But I think I would tell myself to just be more intentional in my words, thoughts, and actions. And that's something that I always knew going into it, but sometimes you get comfortable in a new situation and you might not realize that everything you do, that's the first impression that you make of yourself. So nothing you've done before that, whether that's good or bad, is going to follow you.
Mm.
And that's something that I wasn't as cognizant of because while you may have been a perfect straight A student that treats everyone with utmost respect, not everybody knows that about you, right? And regardless of what your true nature is, people are going to judge you based off of the limited knowledge that they have of you. And to not worry about that, but to just be aware of your new identity because you do create a new identity. College changes you a lot. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, but also just stay true to who you are because there has been a lot that's gone into your self development and
Hmm.
who you are right now. And that's just a reflection of the like minded individuals that you surround yourself with. And it can be really hard to get lost in samsara and just feeling disconnected with not only yourself and what your true identity is, but everything that you've grown up believing in.
Yeah, I'm really sitting with that observation. The person that you were in high school is not like the individuals you're meeting in college are not seeing that fullness right away. They're seeing like the tip of the iceberg
Right.
and how much gets lost in translation sometimes.
Exactly.
But I also heard you mention that, college changes you. How do you think you've changed?
I think I would say I've developed more of a feeling of responsibility and dedication towards academics towards self-development, towards making meaningful connections, and experiencing things that are out of my control, seeking discomfort. And that's the glass painting that I made, and that was the message that I had. And I think life is always going to throw something at you, but if you know that you can handle it, and there's a quote that Shankarji shared. I'm totally going to butcher it because I don't have it on me right now, but it goes something like, everything in the universe has come together. All the millions of experiences that you've had, all of the memories that you've created, everything in the universe, the energy, the particles, everything comes together for this exact moment to happen in this time to you. And that can be very comforting to know that you are exactly where you are. You're not on the wrong path. You're not behind. You're where you're meant to be. And God put you in this position because He knows that you can handle it. And that quote really helped me when, I was isolated or I felt uncomfortable. I think it was something that really grounded me and connected me to just where I was in life and where my journey was taking me.
Yeah, I think that is a message that many folks who might be listening might resonate with. Tend to have a lot of parents who also listen in. So just reflecting on everything that you've shared, Juhi, I'm hearing so much that might soothe some of the worries that parents have when their kid goes off to college as well, in addition to any teens who might be listening too. So I really appreciate that. What are you looking forward to about this upcoming year?
I'm excited to just dive back in, but without the worries this time. And without kind of the anxiety of how am I going to navigate an entirely new situation, an entirely new environment. And I think all the worries are taken out about how am I going to stay grounded? How am I going to change? I know I'm going to change, but this time I think I'm okay with it and I'm ready for the change. I'm not resisting it as I was my freshman year.
As I engage with these conversations, I'm constantly sitting with their richness, and if there's anything that's resonating with you too, I'd love to know. You can always reach out at hello@chinmayaniagara.com. And if you're in college and you're seeking community, like Juhi mentioned, registration is now open for Seeking Culture. It meets on Mondays from 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern, starting in September. And it's a great way to meet other college students and young professionals from across the country who are interested in wrestling with some of the big questions that comes with being a young adult. You can find more information at chinmayaniagara.com under the Cultures tab. And given that it's August, in next week's episode, we're also exploring college. But this time, from the perspective of someone who's at the end of their journey in university. Until then, inspire, love, be.